holding you back from touching the sky? What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky. I was born to succeed, not to be a spoken the real. Told myself there's more to this than just waking up when I feel. So I made a commitment to turn my earnings up. Couldn't see myself as an employee that still couldn't. Looked in the mirror, saw a spark in my eye. Knew I had to hustle and stop living a lie. I packed my dreams in a suitcase, took the first train. I'm headed for the horizon with success is no doubt.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of What's Holding You Back. My name is Rob McCrae from the Business Building Network.
And I'm Christine Allen from Clear Ambitions and Mentors and Speakers. Welcome to Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on What's Holding You Back. Hello, friends.
Hello. Greetings and blessings unto you all. So good to be with you once again for another edition of What's Holding You Back. And Christine, I must say we are very excited about this topic in which we're going to talk about today. And that is your personality type driving your decision making? So this should be a very interesting and thought-provoking conversation. Is going to open up our eyes to some things we may not be conscious of, but when we hear it and see it, and we have to register in our mind a better understanding of, oh, that's why I do these certain things, and it comes to be like a habit or a default, right? Because it's ingrained or embedded within us, because that is what our personality type.
Wow.
So yes, that's going to be our discussion for today. But before we get into that, we want to do a brief recap of our segment from last week. Talked about, should you be one, should you be one to stand out or just to fit in to the crowd? So yeah, if you missed that one, please go back to both of our YouTube channels. Christine's YouTube channel is Clear Ambitions, and my YouTube channel is Rob McCrae Networking. So yes, we had a fun discussion last week, and we're looking for an even better one today as we're talking about personality types.
Not last week. I think you were solo. You must have had a lot of fun with interaction.
Where you was at? No, you had to take care of some business.
It was really nice. I think that it's a nice segue into this as well, because if you look at the topic from last week, and now we can take a deep dive into personalities, right? And find out why some folks think that they should be in the shadows or should they stand out.
Excellent. All right. Yes, as we delve into our conversation piece for today, we'd like to start off with a word of inspiration. So let's get into our inspirational quote for today. So Christine, if you will.
People at war with themselves will always cause collateral damage in the lives of those around them. Collateral damage. People at war with themselves, internal conflict, double-mindedness, internal conflict, and don't know left from right, up from down. Folks like that will always cause collateral damage. Let's look at real quick. What is the definition of collateral damage, by the way?
Collateral damage. Well, how would we define that? Things that happen, I would say more or less because you are in that area or in that surrounding, so you become more or less a casualty of war. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I'm not sure if we Google it what it would say, but that sounds right about right. Collateral damage.
Yeah.
Damage that is not intentional, but
good.
it's a result of what's happening, right,
That's right.
around. It's like that explosion that happened way a couple of miles down the road. You might know this from your days
Hmm.
in the service.
Right.
And those vibrations,
Yeah.
somebody's house got knocked down, right? Just from the vibrations of the explosion. That's collateral damage.
Yep. That is it. That is
Hmm.
in a nutshell. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. So, as you are jumping on board, please leave us a message in the chat. We would love to welcome you and acknowledge you for being a part of what's holding you back. I see that we have our sis, our most faithful one, and she is Yvette Bolden from Bold Nutrition's Consulting. Thank you,
Hey,
sis, and always good to have you on the broadcast.
hello, Yvette.
Hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
so be sure to check her out on her website. I'm going to pull it up in a second. And she has a DNA based health and
Yes.
program. So you definitely want to check that out.
Hmm.
So, yes, Christine, let's get into our discussion for today. Dr. Phil, no, let me not say Dr. Phil, Dr. Reed. Philip Reed, my brother. God bless you, sir. Good to see you, man.
Oh,
Yes,
awesome.
yes, yes. That is Dr. Reed. I'm not going to say Dr. Phil. All right, so yes, let
Mhm.
us get into discussion for today in dealing with personality types. Oh, okay. All right. I see my pastor is has joined us as well. Pastor Fred, God bless you, sir. Good afternoon unto you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Pastor Fred, all the way from New Jersey.
Yes, yes, yes.
And hello, Dr. Reed. Yeah, Dr.
Right,
Phil.
yeah, Dr. Reed. Dr. Phil is taking my brother, so we not gonna trouble that one there. We going Dr. Reed. I like that better.
Mhm.
We don't want no misinterpretations with that. All right. All right. So the first one, this slide
Mhm.
here from Socrates, and this says, "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom." So when you get to know yourself in dealing with your personality type, you have a better understanding of who you are and why you react and respond in the manner in which you do. Because your personality is something that is from your original DNA. You were born with some of these traits, and some
Mhm.
of these traits you grow and to become a part of you because of your environment and the people that you surround yourself with. You may find yourself, like many a times, I always look at growing up and doing certain things, and then I was like, wow, that's a reflection upon what my mom would do or what my father would do, and I wasn't even conscious of it until either somebody
Mhm.
brought it up or something happened and you just made you think about it. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's one of those things where certain things are already ingrained within us, but as we grow, as we mature, and as we evolve, certain characteristics we pick up as well.
right.
All
Oh.
right. So we're going to talk about the five big personality types.
Mhm.
So one is extroversion, another one is agreeableness, another one is neuroticism, another one is consciousness, and the last one is openness. All
Mhm.
right. So let's talk about extroversion. And this is going to be our first one here, extrovert. So, Christine, if you would do us the honors in reading this definition.
An outgoing, overtly expressive person. People who are extroverts tend to be very talkative, sociable, active, and warm. Someone who feels energized by the external world and social interactions.
Mm,
That last sentence says it all. Someone who feels energized
mhm.
by the external world. So they're energized, they get their energy from external world, external things outside of themselves, and social interactions. I think we
Right.
all know someone who's like that.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because when I first met Christine, I was under the impression that she would be in the class of an extrovert. And she said, no, absolutely not. She's an introvert. I was like, no. She's like, no, I don't really like to socialize. And I was really thrown back by that. You remember that conversation, Christine?
I do. I didn't think you were going to make me the example.
That's all right. We
Okay.
all have our little, personalities that we have and characteristics of it. So, me myself, I'm an introvert as well. You know,
Wow.
yeah, I'm not really a talker. I'm not one that really likes to be in a crowd amongst people. I like to be to myself, and just have that time to really think and process things and come up with some ideas and strategies how to make myself better. So when I thought of you as an extrovert, I was thinking more or less because as the first sentence says, one who's sociable, active, and talkative. No offense, but Christine can talk. I'm not a talker, so that's good. So a lot of times Christine would carry the conversation. I would just feed off what she was saying. But then when she said she's not an extrovert, she's an introvert, I was really surprised by that. But now, in knowing one another better, I can see where, yeah, that is true.
Oh, wow. So I think that, when we, as listeners and viewers are saying, okay, what really determines, what's the determining factor? And it's that last sentence, how
Hmm.
you energize yourself. So
Right.
how you get energized? How do you rejuvenate? How do you recharge, if you will? You recharge by being sociable, going out. Some folks have, find a so very sociable place to go and dance and just let off steam, as they would say, quote unquote. And that's how they would recharge and rejuvenate themselves. And other folks, we're going to go to the next slide. Um, I'm not a talker. Okay.
I think you
So,
start. No, I'm not.
yeah. So, in regards to the next slide, when we're going to talk about, okay, so what's the opposite, the polar opposite of being extrovert, introvert?
It's a introvert.
Introvert is a person whose personality is characterized by a preference for their inner world
Hmm.
of thoughts and feelings over the external world of social interaction. So, once again, the introvert's a person and personality who is characterized by the preference they prefer um, for their inner world and thoughts. So, their thoughts and their feelings, they go internally to recharge and rejuvenate over the external interactions and social interactions when they want to rejuvenate, recharge. They tend to be more reserved,
Hmm.
reflective, and find energy from solitude.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. So, audience, let us know, where would you classify yourself? Are you an extrovert or are you considered to be an introvert? I would love to hear your analogy of oneself. And if we are knowing of one another, I will, share if I'm in agreement or not, because what my personal opinion of you may be totally different from how you classify yourself or Christine as well. Right. So I would love to hear your feedback on that.
And I think the
Introvert.
reflective sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Introvert. For those who are introverts, and that's how you recharge with solitude, but
Hmm.
you've learned to balance that where in your day to day, in your job, in your business, as a lot of us are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, business owners, you're there, having to do the social, right? You're having to not have your social graces and so forth.
Mhm.
So this is all about how you recharge, and that's how the folks who did the study, they base it off of how you recharge. How do you get re-energized? Is it from solitude or is it from social interactions? So how you conduct yourself in a day-to-day in the office or otherwise on the job has nothing to do whether or not you're an introvert or extrovert.
Okay, excellent. So another great point that you made there, talking about business and in the workplace as well.
Mm-hmm.
So identifying the characteristics or traits of someone else, especially for business owners,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure that you're putting your employees, your staff, or whatever the case may be, in a position in which they can excel. So if you know that that person is an introvert, one that likes to be to themselves, they're not one that really is outgoing and willing to engage with people, then you wouldn't want to have them as the face of your business or be the greeting or the welcoming committee, so to speak, if you know that they are pretty much reserved and they don't really interact with others well.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in the best possible position to thrive and be a positive, um, not influence, but positive reflection upon
Mm-hmm.
business.
Right, exactly. Unless that person's seasoned enough
Hmm.
to know that, okay, this is your post, this is your job, and this is what you need to do. Smile, shake hands, and hand out them pamphlets.
Right.
So, right. But absolutely, you do want to put folks in areas of where they are comfortable.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Do we have any answers in the chat?
Not as of yet. Any introverts? Any
Still thinking
extroverts?
about it.
Let us know.
Still thinking about it. We have about three other personality types or more to go
Yes,
through. I think this is the most interesting, the introvert versus extrovert. I think
it
it's
is.
the most interesting. So, agreeableness.
Hmm.
Individuals high in agreeableness are typically trusting,
Hmm.
altruistic, and helpful, priori- prioritizing social harmony and well being over others. Prioritizing social harmony and well being of others.
Hmm.
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 Okay. They often exhibit empathy, understanding, and willingness to compromise. So the personality that's agreeable.
So these, I would say, are the people pleasers. They
Okay.
will go above and beyond the call of duty to please others, and they will take on more upon themselves than they really want to do because they have that mentality of they don't want to tell people no, so they
Mhm,
just agree, they are accepting, and they really put a lot of the burden on themselves, and
mhm,
this leads to burnout because when you put so much on yourself and you don't have um, someone to kind of help to balance out the load for you, then
mhm.
it gets to be too much. You become overwhelmed, and now you're starting to have regrets because you took on too much of a burden on yourself.
Right. Right. And so there's so many personalities are important to understand as a leader. Absolutely. You have to
Hmm.
know who's on your team. And so you have to know who's on your team. It's a situation where the agreeables, um, someone saying the church when choosing ushers at, yep, at
Oh,
greasers as well.
oh yeah,
Mhm,
yes, definitely, Pastor Fred. Yes, great point. Great point.
mhm. There's a lot to say about um, folks who are people pleasers. Some people call it the disease to please. That even when we do
Uh huh.
recognize those personality types that we help them out. Don't put them in a position where they'll say yes, and you know that they'll say yes. So help
Mhm.
them out with the balance because
Yeah.
it's so important.
All right. So Yvette says, I was an introvert when I was younger, me as well. But sometimes I revert back to introvert and extrovert. Sometimes I am. So yes, I can totally relate to what you're saying, Yvette, because I was very much very shy when I was young. Didn't talk at all. You couldn't get a peep out of me. I was just reserved into myself. But now I have grown out of that, so I am more interactive. But I wouldn't. No, I couldn't consider myself as an extrovert. But I have grown out of that
Mhm.
very deep introverted way. I would say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Well,
Christina, I would say the same about you as well. You may consider yourself still an introvert, but you do have an outgoing personality. You will go out of your way to engage with others. So, I
mm,
mean, you're not a deep introvert, I would say.
I go out of my way to interact with others to have, especially if I see that there's a need for them to feel comfortable in a social setting. So
Right.
I know how that feels if you feel awkward or alone. So I'll go out of my way out of empathy to say, you know, for like a cup of tea or coffee
Hmm.
for others to feel
Okay.
welcomed,
Gotcha.
but not because I need to.
Okay.
Not me on Facebook Live. So not because I feel like I need to or have to have someone to talk to in order to feel comfortable in my own skin. Mm.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad you said that now. So an extrovert needs that relationship or
Mhm. They need that energy, that
yeah.
external energy, yeah,
Okay.
in
Okay.
order to,
Yeah.
you
So nah, I couldn't say that I'm an extrovert. Okay.
know.
All
Mhm.
right. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was good. All right. So that is agreeableness. The next one, neuroticism. Neuroticism is a personality trait characterized by a tendency towards experiencing negative emotions like anxiety, sadness, and irritability, as well as emotional instability. Ooh, yeah, I know we know a few of
Woo!
these.
Was
So
that
yeah,
out loud? I'm
yeah,
not introvert. I didn't do well as the introvert right there.
yes, but
Yeah, them that personality you spoke about a couple of weeks ago, the
mhm.
folks that you don't invite to the cookout. Remember that?
Right, right, right.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Yes, yes, definitely, Christine. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
That,
not much to say there. So it says basically that if it's
mhm,
a personality trait, they
mhm.
can't help it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ugh,
They always have to see the glass half empty, negative emotions,
right,
you know.
right.
Oh, there's one cloud, looks like it's gonna rain. There's only one cloud on a blue sky.
Mm,
Okay. Um, yeah, as well as emotional instability. Oh,
mhm.
bless their hearts. Well, definitely got to help them out, Rob.
Yes,
That's
yes.
holding everybody back.
So, the good thing about when we're having this type of conversation, it is to bring consciousness, make us aware of our behaviors and our actions. So, like the quote said from Socrates, knowing of thyself is the start of forget what the quote says. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me bring it back. The knowing of thy to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Okay, sorry. So yeah, once you are knowing or aware of how you act or respond, then you can make a conscious decision to not act in that particular type of manner. So if you know that you have those negative feelings and emotions towards things, then consciously you should be aware within yourself and know that I need to stop looking at things at that in that manner or in that way, and change my perspective on life, and not look at everything in a negative type of place.
Mhm.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
there's things we need to be aware of, more conscious of.
Hmm.
So Pastor Fred says, I think that I am both introvert and extrovert based on my profession. Okay. So yes, because as a pastor, you do have to be outgoing and reach out to the saints. So yes, Pastor, I can definitely identify with what you are saying. So yeah.
Sometimes your profession does call for
Hmm.
the personality type to lean into that trait
Yes.
more than others. Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Hmm. This has been a great conversation. I learned about a little bit more about the neural systems, because those are that are neurotic. They would say
Hmm.
um, it's a personality type.
Hmm.
So that being said, when if a person is like that and they're around positive folks or folks that are extroverts, or you tend to be very positive, optimistic in the mindset as well,
Okay.
maybe that could be something they can work on. If you recognize that about yourself, that
Yeah,
you tend to have these tendencies within your personality.
absolutely. All right, excellent. Dr. Reed, I haven't heard from you, my brother. Introvert or extrovert? What you claiming? All right, so let's get into our next one, which is consciousness. Christine, if you will.
Oh, this consciousness, it describes a person's level of responsibility,
Hmm.
organization, and control over their actions. It involves tendencies towards self-discipline, goal, goal directiveness, and planning and delaying gratification. Wow, discipline all around. Okay, so this is someone who's very conscientious.
Hmm.
This describes a person level of responsibility. This is a business owner all around, entrepreneur,
Yes.
knows how to have these organizations self-control their actions, not overspending. It involves tendencies towards self-discipline, of course, and self-directedness, and planning and delaying that gratification. Huge.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
So, Christine, would you say you are one that is high in conscientiousness?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No,
Uh,
I'm reading that. I'm saying, okay.
yeah.
Why do you ask?
Just see if we would be in agreement. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely see that in you.
How about yourself?
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah,
I would.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also see that in your wife as well, Althea.
Hmm.
Very much so. Very disciplined and organized in her craft, in her cooking. She knows exactly when to start, how what the ingredients are at the back of her hand. She has it under control.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She's got that what do you call it, well-oiled machine there,
All
like a
right.
factory in that kitchen.
There you go. There you go. All
Hmm.
right. We got Dr. Reed. All right. Okay. He's towing the line. He's introvert, extrovert. Introvert to gather my thoughts, but I also get energized around people. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would say leaning more towards extrovert, my brother. Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So a lot of those motivational, you know, I wouldn't say seminars. They're more like rallies. That's what, yeah. So
Mm.
motivational rallies where the whole audience is like rah, and they got their hands waving
Right.
and yeah, let's go get it. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, you don't get into it. No, well, oh man,
It doesn't
oh,
motivate me. So other folks, and those are all extroverts in the room, just
I don't
feeding
know.
off the energy, and it's
Yeah,
great. Sales folks, that's what you need. That's the oil in the engine in every company. Those extroverts, absolutely.
but yeah, I did go to a seminar with Tony Robbins, and it
Oh, you
was
did?
awesome. Oh my God,
Oh
yes,
my,
yes, yes.
oh my.
He just got everybody into it. So he is an extreme extrovert.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he just pulled in the whole audience, and everybody was just
That's awesome.
off of it. Yes, yes,
Hmm.
loved
Okay.
it, loved it,
I
loved it.
Yeah, he's a great speaker.
Oh my God,
Um, I would sit and just absorb everything that they be saying, right?
absolutely.
But I wouldn't express 100% like that. But I think it's great. I think it's good.
Sure, sure.
Very, very informative.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so I learned something about you, Tony Robbins. Okay.
Oh yeah, I love Tony Robbins. All right, so that is conscientiousness, and the last one is openness. Christine, if you will.
Openness. People high in openness tend to be imaginative, creative, curious, and willing to explore different perspectives.
Mm,
Wow. Love to have them on the team.
is that you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
You're asking if that's like me?
yeah.
Um, let's see. Let me read it again. High people with high openness tend to be imaginative,
Yes,
creative,
yes.
curious, and willing to explore different perspectives. A little bit.
Which ones you shaking about? The curious and willing to explore different perspectives?
Yep, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yep. That's you. That's you. Okay. But yeah, so you're in the high end with the other parts, but just not the last two. Okay. Gotcha.
Willing to explore now. And I thought about the vacation spots. I've as being an
Oh,
introvert, I think a lot. So I might visit Costa Rica. I know I had told you it looks
right.
beautiful, but not sure. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm thinking about.
It's back on the list.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's back on the maybe.
Yes.
So that's my openness, I guess.
All right. All right.
Takes a
That's
while.
that's a start. Glad to hear. Glad to hear.
And being in marketing, openness has to be high on your list as well.
Um, yeah, I would say so. I would say
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. I see that.
Mhm. Wow. So, yes, this has been a very interesting conversation, to say the least. I hope you took away some good information from this discussion. We wanted to go a little bit deeper in depth, but due to time constraints, we didn't really have a time to go into it like we want to. But we might come back to this conversation and expand upon it in the very near future. But we just love to hear your feedback. What are your thoughts? Did you learn something about yourself? Are you more conscious of some of your habits and
Mhm,
characteristics?
mhm.
Do Where do you fit on these five different personality traits or characteristics? Where are you on that part of the scale, right? So yeah, we just want to open up our minds and be more conscious of who we are and why do we make the type of decisions that we do. And a lot of it has to do with our personality types and how we were
Mhm,
raised. And like I said in the beginning, a lot of these personality traits or characteristics were already embedded in us when we were born. So as we grow and mature, we pick up some other things, and some other things kind of fall by the wayside, but it is still already locked within us. But being more conscious of it, now we can start to make little subtle changes and adjustments so it doesn't um, put us in a position where we're making bad decisions, like getting involved with bad relationships with the same type of people
Mm-hmm.
because of the attraction or the personality type of that person
Mm-hmm.
or what you are attracted to. But now that you're conscious of it, it's like, nah, that's not a good fit for me. So maybe I
Mm-hmm.
have to steer in a different direction.
So what you're saying is knowing these personality types, you have a tendency, or people might identify there's a tendency to
Yeah.
gravitate towards a certain personality type.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
so, because they keep gravitating towards the same personality type, why is that?
They, I'm putting on my psychology cap now.
Hmm.
They are attracted to that, like, all right, prime example. Uh, they always say the pretty girls are attracted to the bad boys. And when you look at it and you really analyze that, you do see a lot of that. A lot of the pretty girls get involved with these bad dudes that's always end up going into jail and having their lives cut short because they're into a lot of mischievous behaviors because of why are they attracted to that? Because of their personality type. Is it that excitement that they're looking for, or is something that's
Oh.
attracting to them and making them make those type of decisions?
So here's the thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if I don't know if I buy into that. So
Okay.
the personality types that will come out are the extroverts, right? That are bold, that are come and speak to a okay, made the example with a pretty woman. Okay, so they're going, the extroverts will be bold, right? Even
Okay.
if they got buck tooth and no business stepping up to nobody.
Right.
Am I
Right.
on air? So if even if they have, they're not that great looking or whatever, as far as categories, due respect to those who have buck tooth. Anyways, so they have the extrovert personality to. So someone who is an introvert
Hmm.
won't do that. So here's the thing: it's opportunity, right? Success is preparation meets opportunity meets preparation. When you prepare to get the opportunity, that's success. So it's preparation and meets opportunity. So
Hmm.
what I'm saying is that the extrovert will take that opportunity to ask the pretty girl out,
Oh, okay.
and because she has now she has that to say yes or no, but they will pursue and persist and
Right.
all of that,
Okay.
and that's how you end up falling for the extrovert that ends up, you just told a story, right?
Mhm.
So that's where the pretty girls end up, right? And so I don't think anyone really, would trade off any excitement for the disappointment that comes on the other side, other than it's a pursue, right?
Hmm.
And then the courage, it takes courage to speak to someone,
Does.
a girl and all that. So a lot of guys are, they're shy. You said yourself you're shy. They're
Mhm.
introverts,
Right.
right? Because there's a lot of social pressure. Where you have to be very bold, either be an athlete to go out there and risk, right, fumbling, whether it be asking a girl out or not, or something else. You have to be really bold, and so
Right.
you end up being an introvert, or you are an introvert as a guy that doesn't ask a girl out, and that's why I think that's why the I don't know, you call them bad boys, or the personality types of an extrovert would
Hmm.
get the pretty girls, or any girl, because they would have that personality to pursue,
Yeah.
where the majority of guys wouldn't. um I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense, and I totally understand where you're coming from with that. But just based on my experiences when
Hmm.
I had a hair salon, right?
Hmm.
A lot of the ladies that worked in the shop, they were attracted to a certain type of individual
Okay.
because of their status or
The persona.
right. And that was just the thing for them. That's the type of individual they wanted to be socializing with or be in agreement with. And so
Mm,
you see the writing on the wall. You already know what's going to happen. And a couple months down the line, they break up, and they having altercations or whatever.
mhm.
And you know they expect me to come to the rescue. I'm like, I'm not getting in that. I'm like, nah, but it's this that what they're attracted to. Is it
Mm.
the personality type that they're looking for, or the persona? So that's
Not
another.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great conversation to have about opposites attract or whatever it is. I guess I because I can't relate,
Mm-hmm.
I've never really, yeah, not impressed
Right.
with with the that persona or, you know,
Gotcha.
that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And that's a testimony to me being an introvert. I'm sci-fi nerd all the way. So I absolutely, yeah, not for the whole bad boy thing and
Yes.
da,
Yes.
da, 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 mm-mm, no.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting though. So back to your point where the the personalities that you keep gravitating towards and
Mm,
to understand to say, hey, it's not for me. I'm walking away from this. It's matters of the heart are complicated. Matters of the heart are complicated because if you
true.
are attracted to a certain type or it's usually what you're missing in yourself. So if
Uh,
you're if you wish, I
mhm.
wish I was more bold. I wish, and you see someone who's bold, whether it be male or female, it could be someone who's going to end up being your mentor as a female, because she's so bold and she steps on that stage and she commands the stage, and I want to be like that. So you want that to be your mentor, your coach, right?
Yep.
So that's where you would gravitate towards, and that there could be underlying factors of why that person's bold or what the case may be, but that's what you see on the outside. So a
Gotcha.
lot of times what we're attracted to in other people is what we are missing or we feel we're missing within ourselves. And so that's a telltale sign about how we can sharpen ourselves. Because if there's something that you admire,
Hmm.
whether it be someone on YouTube, an influencer, um, stop admiring them and sharpen up yourself. That's what you need to fill your cup with. Okay.
Love it. Love it.
Okay.
Love it. Excellent, Christine. Love that right there. All right. So, yes, with that being said, we are going to close out the broadcast for this evening, this afternoon, this morning, depending on where in the world you are watching us from. But we just want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of What's Holding You Back for another episode this afternoon. So, on behalf of Christine Allen from Clear Ambitions, my name is Rob McCray from the Business Building Network. And please, if you have not already done so, please feel free to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels. Christine's YouTube channel is Clear Ambitions, and my YouTube channel is Rob McCray Networking. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week right here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of What's Holding You Back.
We'll see you next week. Bring a friend.
Take care.
Holding you back from touching the sky. What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle. What's holding you back from touching the sky? Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky.